This question says, a superintendent of a school district says that about 22% of the students come from a single parent home. He's making a claim. You're not sure. So you conduct a study to test this claim. In your sample, so you sampled some students, 28.5714% of the 77 students come from a single parent home. Test the superintendent's claim statement at a level of significance of alpha 0.05. Okay, so how do we do this? Well, let's go to the notes. So here are the exam 4 notes. That's not true. They are the exam 3 notes. There we go. Okay, what do they say? Well, step 1, HO, P equals a number or mu equals a number. HO is always equal and weak evidence. So, actually, our first question is what we're going to use. We better jump down here. That's step 3, but it's all right. We'll get there. Step 3, it says, is it a percentage question or is it a mean average question? Is this about percentages or averages? Well, it's percentages, huh? Right here, right here. It's a percentage question or proportion, same thing. Proportion is a percentage where you just have a decimal without a percentage symbol. They're the same thing. So if it's a proportion problem, you're going to use one prop z-test on your TI calculator. Notice z-test, not t. Right down here is where you use t-test if you're doing a mean average problem. So if this was a problem asking us about the average of something, we would end up using t-test on our calculator, but it's not. So instead, we're going to use z-test. So we come up here, for this study, we're going to use z-test for population proportion, because it's a proportion question. Okay, next, we get the HO, and then we get the H1. So what are we supposed to do for this? Well, it says right here, HO is going to be P or U, always equal. Always equal. Now, is it P or U? Well, P stands for percentage, and this is the Greek symbol. This is a Greek M, stands for mean, for average, and it looks like a U. I mean, it's a U. Well, it's a Greek M, really. Who cares? That's for mean or average. We're doing P for percentage, so we're going to do. We're going to choose percentage for P, and we're going to choose equals. P equals, and then what number? And then down here, we're going to go P again, and then what are we going to do with it? So, well, like it says right here, so HO on the notes is always P equals or U equals if you're doing an average problem. We're doing a percentage problem. P equals a number. And well, how do you know what number? Well, HO is the claim. HO is what they're claiming. What is it they're claiming on this problem? Let's go down and take a look. The superintendent says 22% of the students come from a single parent home. So 0.22. We just take that 22% and we put it right there because that's the claim. That's what the superintendent is saying. And that, well, how do we know what else are we going to do? Well, so for H1, it's going to be P or U. Again, we're going to go with P, it's percentage. Greater than, less than, or not equal. H1 is always strong evidence. If it says greater, you do that way. If it says less, you do that way. You do not equals if it says same or different or just never says greater or less. Now, so in other words, the question is, does it say greater anywhere or less or words that mean the same thing like bigger? This would be like smaller. Does it say that anywhere? No. You read it says 22%. You're not sure. Nowhere does it say we think it's bigger. We think it's smaller. We think it doesn't ever say that. So that's right here. It just never says greater or less. So what does that mean? We're testing not equal. In other words, if we're not talking about being greater or being less, then we're talking about being different, not equal. So not equal to 0.22. Same number, yeah, these are always the same number. always the same. Why? Because these are like two attorneys in a court of law arguing. One of them is saying, I think the real percentage of kids in the school that come from a single parent home is equal to 0.22. And the other attorney is saying, no, I think it's not equal to 0.22, meaning different, not equal to, not the same as. So he's not saying it's greater than 0.22. He's not saying it's less. They do sometimes. Some of the problems you'll read, it says, but we think it's really greater, or we think it's really less, or we think it's really bigger, we think it's really smaller. But they never said that here. They just, all they said is, you're not sure. You're not sure what? You're not sure that it is 22%. So what's the opposite of being is 22? It's not 22. It's not equal to 22. So that's how I knew. It's really important that you know, because P is always equal. This is always equal. And this is greater than, less than, or not equal. And we knew it was not equal, right? The HO, it's always equal. But with the H1, it's greater than, less than, or equal. How do you know which one? If they say greater, it's greater or bigger. Smaller, less, it's less. If they don't say anything at all, it's not equal, because that's the opposite of equals. All right, let's keep moving. It says the test statistic. Well, we already figured that out up here. It's going to be Z, right? Same thing as right here. It's a Z test. Okay. And then what does it equal? Well, now it's time to go to the calculator. The calculator is going to compute all that information for us. So we're going to need to put it into the calculator. So how do we do that? Well, right here on the notes, we're on step 3 now. It says go to your TI calculator. First determine, is it percentage or a mean question? Well, it's percentage. So we're going to go to, as it says right here, we're going to go to the one prop Z test on our TI calculator. P0 is the number from H0. X is the number being asked for. This must be a whole number. If you're given a percentage, multiply and round. N is the total number. The proposition is, we've already chosen it's going to be not equal. N is the total. Let's fill this in before we go there. I'm going to go to the thing in a minute. What's the total number? 77 students. That's N. You surveyed 77 students. That's N. So N is 77. And P0 is the number from H0. What's the number from H0? Right there, right? Because this is H0 right here. H0, there's the number, 0.22. 0.22. So that's going to be 0.22. Oops. 22. And then finally, that's P0. Finally, X, that's the only thing we got left. How do you find X? If you're given a percent, which we are, like 23% of 80, then multiply. So what are we given in this problem? It says right here, 28.5714% of 77. So I go, oh, 28.1574% of 77. Did I get that right? 1574? Well, 5714. I'm a little dyslexic. 5714. Let's see. Try that again. Okay, of 77. What do? You change, see how the 23% became 0.23 and then you multiply. So this is going to become 0.28574 of is times 77. See that decimal goes back 2 places. Whoops. Looks like I hit a wrong button there. On this one. Okay. Yeah, sorry about that. So there we go. And the decimal went back 2 places. So here, let me okay, sorry, I know it's a little confusing. So let's go do that on the calculator. Everything's kind of moved to a different place now. I know it looks a little weird, but that's the basic idea. We're going to go to the calculator now, and we're going to put that in. Again, it was, what was it? 28.5714. Okay. So it's 28.5714 0.5714% of 77. That's the n is 77 and the p0 is 0.22, and this is not equal. And then we multiply that again, move the decimal back 2 places, make it 0.285714 of is times 77, and we'll hit that in the calculator, see what we get. All right, and we're gonna do all this in one prop Z test. All right, let's go. There's my calculator. You're seeing it? Okay, so let's turn it on here. Okay, and first thing I'm going to go to stat, go over, and I'm going to go down. There's one prop Z test down on number 5. So go over to, I hit stat. You can tell over here what I hit. I hit stat, then I went over to tests, went down to one prop Z test, hit enter. So here we are. Again, the P0, remember, was going to be 0.22 or 0.22, either way. The X, now that was 0.28, 5714 times 77. Enter. And that comes out, look what it comes out, 21.9999. Now, if you look back at the notes, we'll go back there in a minute, it said round it. So 21.9999, where's that going to round to? 22. So I'm going to go back up here. I don't know if that's going to let me. Yeah, I'm going to have to hit stat again. Not going to let me go back. Oh, sorry, I'm hitting all kinds of wrong buttons here. Stat, that. Okay. Test. Prop Z test. Okay, 0.22. I'm going to make this 22 because I rounded it. You got to put in a whole number. You can't leave a decimal, so I went back and rounded it. The N was 77 total people. And not equals, we're already, now if it was greater, less, or greater, we would choose that. We're on not equals. So that's good. And then we come on down and we hit calculate, enter. Okay, so there is the information we need. There's our Z value. We get Z equals 1.39202. And we get that P value, the first P. I know there's 2 of them there. We really want that first P, 0.16391. All right, that's what we care about. There we go. So let's go back now. Okay. And I will tell you, so we went through those calculations. I wrote down the Z and the P that we got from the calculator. Z equals, and the P value there. Now, next line says the P value is, and it wants less than, equal to, or greater than alpha. So we're comparing the P to the alpha. What is the alpha? Well, the alpha is the significance level. It says that right up above, and it says it right here, 0.05, 0.05. Okay, so is this p-value greater or less than this alpha? Well, 16 is bigger than 5, so certainly it is greater. So we're going to choose greater. P-value is greater than alpha. Okay, and based on this, we should, is it accept, fail to reject, or reject? Well, this is where we go to the notes again. It'll help us. Step 4, on the last step now. It all depends on whether P is less than alpha or P is greater than alpha. We had P greater than alpha, right? Our 0.16 whatever was greater than 0.05. So what does that mean? When the P is not low, right? Our P was not low, it was greater. The null must not go, which means when the P value is not low, the null must not go away. That is, failed to reject. There it is. There's that key phrase. Failed to reject HO. Instead, we keep HO. We don't reject it. We fail to reject it. We keep it and there's weak evidence. We keep it and there's weak evidence. So we keep it and there's weak evidence. So we fail to reject. There's weak evidence. The evidence is weak in this case. So what did it say? We keep HO. Fail to reject HO. Instead, we keep HO. Evidence weak. That's what we just got out of the notes. Okay, so what does that mean? Keep HO. Keep HO. Well, that's our conclusion. That's the attorney we believe and agree with. Well, what did HO say? Go back up. Here's HO right there. That's HO, right? HO is the first attorney. H1 is the second attorney. Remember, it's all about, we're the jury in a court of law deciding on whether we agree with the attorney or we disagree with the attorney. So HO says P equals 0.22. H1 says it's not equal. Who did we agree with? Keep HO. Go back to HO, equal to 0.22. That's what we agree with. We keep HO. It's equal to 0.22. So P is equal to 0.22. That's what HO says. So our conclusion is equal to 22%. Our conclusion is that superintendent's really right when he said or she said that the school district has about 22% single parent kids, students that come from a single parent home. When we did our study, we got 28%. You think, well, that's not 22. Yeah, but it turns out it's not really very far off. That's what our conclusion. The evidence was weak. It was a little bit off, but there wasn't strong evidence that it was different. So in the end, we conclude, he or she's probably right. It's about the same. It's about 22%. That's our conclusion. The evidence is just too weak to be sure that the superintendent is wrong. So we conclude generally the superintendent is right. And so that's the conclusion of the problem.